sometimes I feel like it's, even though we're in an environment where people know the medical terms, right, the jargon, sometimes I feel like it has been easier for me to connect with people when I don't use overly jargon words when reviewing, so instead of saying like, this feels like some, fancy word for firm, I'm like, oh, well, this just was kind of harder a little bit, or this is a little squishy. You know what I mean? Like, because it gives people more of a context. Or like with the eye, for example. So like when we cut into it and when we get to that final layer, like the white part of your eye, I'm like, when we cut it, I'm like, doesn't it kind of feel like a tennis ball? You know what I mean? Instead of like a very text-based version that says, this has a firm texture. Okay. You know what I mean? Like firm like a rock, like firm like whatever. So to me, like having somebody just talk to you in like an informal type language about formal things, if that makes sense.
100%.
So you can almost, yeah. So I like to do that. So if you're talking about like a skin texture or something like that, to me, using words that are like, yeah, I know that's the actual official terms, but just being able to speak to somebody on like a very personal, like just me and you chatting kind of level seems to connect a lot more. I mean, some people really like the jargon, but to me, sometimes it's hard to just keep pushing that because sometimes they don't know, what that means.
Yeah. And I think that's a cool thing as well, like in terms of a common relatable thing. So if we go to a tennis ball, because if I'm now going and doing that procedure, if I ever get to touch the white part of the eye, I'll be like, oh yeah, like this is, I'm expecting now, I'm going to remember, it should feel like a tennis ball, so I like the visual of that. That would work for me as a learner because I'm not about terminology, and the academic stuff just kind of, you'll lose me. But if you say tennis ball, I'm like, yeah, I've seen that green yellow thing before. I know what that's like.
Yes, I know what that texture feels like.
Yeah.